Strangers, aren't they?
I've got to say, I mean, we're the same. We've got a kind of this group of people now that we will work with. They're not on every show. Sometimes, because obviously, certainly on all the shows we do, people are freelance. Whether they be sound, cameras, or whatever. So sometimes they'll be on one show and they can't be on the other because they could be, in the Bahamas somewhere. Why anyone would want to be in the Bahamas rather than Reddish, I do not know. But so people kind of come and go. But they're this core crew of people that you trust and know. I mean, and you guys must have it in your team, especially because money's involved as well. So if for yourselves, you have to be 100% certain that your team is trustworthy. But also, like you say, when you've got members of the public in, so 30 of them, and you split them up into smaller groups, but you only need one who's turned up with a pocket full of stones or whatever.
We do try and debunk it. I mean, it's quite logical, really. If a stone's being thrown from one direction, then you'll actually you'll try and mix the dynamics of the group around a little bit, and then obviously if something's still being thrown from that direction, you'll pull them away from it, so that it's obvious that a human being isn't doing it. So, and it is right that you have to completely 100% trust your team. Anybody who works on a team with me, I mean, everybody we have, it sounds dramatic. I trust them with my lives I think all of them. They're very trustworthy.
You trust them with your life?
Well, maybe not. Okay.
I don't even trust me with my life.
I trust them with my handbag, let's put it that way.
Another thing that we do...
That is your life. A woman's handbag is her life.
Everything in it,
Another thing that we do, which is quite sort of cunning, is that we encourage people to bring video recorders with them, and we let them video throughout the events. So people know that film's going on, even though it's not always our filming that's going on, that there could be 20 people with video cameras. So it's very, very difficult for them to do something without somebody catching them.
Doesn't stop them though.
Doesn't stop them. And I don't think, to be honest, we'll ever be absolutely 100% able to do that.
No, I think some of them, I mean, I think 90% of it is just malicious. It's just let's have some fun and at other people's expense. But I think there are 10% of people want to do it for the right reasons. It's still wrong to do it, but you'll get something, I just want to get everyone a bit spooked up, and so we get the energy up. I mean, I'm most honoured, fortunately, not that I'm aware of, psychics aside, that I've never been aware of anyone throwing stuff. I'm not saying they haven't, I'm just saying I've never been aware of it, because there's the big thing, as we've always said, that if anyone's caught, they're fired, and openly fired. And I would be more than happy if it was camera, sound, whoever throwing stuff, then I would be more than happy to go on the website and actually put this person's been.
And we do exactly the same thing.
Because it stops them doing it to other people, because it ruins your credibility.
We have a behaviour policy which is sent to every guest before they come to the event, and included in that is obviously the drugs, alcohol,
They have to bring their own.
And share. We have to share. But then the state of how they are when they arrive, and also malicious behaviour, we don't tolerate it. And we've actually evicted people onto the streets at 2 o'clock in the morning, in the middle of winter, because they have tried to do something, or they have...
You ever worked at my local pub?
No, I could do that. But it's important. What you're saying is really important. And then if they are caught doing something, if any of our team were ever caught doing anything,
But this is the point, I think, with this whole sort of this society that we have, and the paranormal thing is a society. I mean, it's kind of it should be a huge family, but it's not.
Like
too many people
true.
Against each other, and the trouble is, as I've seen, that there are, you'll get one paranormal group who will do their level best to help somebody, to help somebody, or someone will come along, and then it just seems that they'll start their own group, there's no problem with that, provided they do it correctly. And what they seem to do is they'll go and do another, but then just completely try and discredit the group they've come from. It just seems so wrong.
We have a contract for that, us. Even like the people that we with now really trust, they're all contracted. That if they do leave us, they're not allowed to speak about us or anything we've done or anything we're going to do, or because you have to do, I mean, it is a horrible field to be in, and you've got to cover your bums, really.
Well, the hard thing is, I mean, I'm sure every industry has its things, but it seems to me, I mean, I've spent many years as a television cameraman. Now, that's, if you're talking of a bitchy situation, it's bizarre that there are certain ones out there that will kill you just to get another job.
If I'd known now what I knew then, I wouldn't be doing what I do now.
Well, this is the point. But when I started to do this, I had no idea. It makes it makes television look like a choir.
Yeah. We've actually had people turn up on our events from other companies that have been sent to our events to cause mayhem, and one particular location, which was in Portsmouth, and they succeeded, and it was a big learning curve for me, massive learning curve.
Sadly, those learning curves they never end. I mean, we've I've constantly thought, and Yvette and I would love to see it, and I'm sure you guys would as well, some sort of board, and I know I keep going on about it, board of directors or board of something or other, but I don't know who they'd be. I don't know, because there'd have to be an elected body, and if you've got this,
and you need an unbiased one as well, wouldn't you?
It can't be anyone from paranormal groups, it can't be anyone from television, it can't be anyone who's involved in the paranormal, but there should be some way of, if someone discredits themselves by either fraudulently throwing something and claiming it to be paranormal, or just turning up to discredit your investigations, or lying about you after an investigation, which is making stuff up, then there should be some way that they are not allowed to be involved in the paranormal at all for a certain period of time.
As a psychotherapist as well, I belong to a professional body, and if I mess up, if I say the wrong thing to a client, or a client's got a complaint against me, I have to stop practicing, whilst I'm investigated. And some of the things that I could say are nothing in comparison to what can happen on an event, which I think psychologically is just as important.
Oh no, I absolutely agree. But it gets down to this for me. It's the unlawful internet, which it's a lawless place, and it seems where people can say what they like. And the trouble is, you can you could sue people if you like, but you do nothing else.
Exactly.
Because
I went on BBC Radio with exactly the same thing. I wanted to set up a professional body of paranormal investigation companies, more like mine, that had to belong to somebody, that had to be answerable to somebody, and we needed validating as well, and to be accountable. And I went on a breakfast show with it, and the feedback I got was awful. It was, who the hell are you?
Do you think you are?
Well, I didn't want to do it myself.
But this is the point, because you've suggested it.
Yeah.
And instead of, and the trouble is, the only people who would have come back to you negatively with that are the people who need to be investigated themselves. Because everyone who would want it to happen would be going, why don't we? There's a federation of builders, there's a federation, there's plumbers, everything else has some sort of body. Now, that's been set up, so why can't this be set up? Because you get some quite vulnerable people on your events as well. Some people are genuinely, particularly first-timers, incredibly scared, and potentially what happens on an event can leave them, not scarred is probably being dramatic, but they can go away quite upset. And we make sure at the end of an event, for example, that we talk to them, and perhaps the medium will have a talk to them to explain what's happened and how it's not going to what their experience isn't going to leave that place with them. That's an experience they've had, but it shouldn't be affecting them in the long term. So, but if you've got a paranormal group who are just potentially in it just to make money and don't offer that service and aren't aware of the customer's needs, then it can be potentially quite dangerous, I think.
We do have a feedback service as well, so anyone that's even after the event can come straight back to us, and we'll answer their emails within the hour.
But this is what it needs to have. It needs to have this almost going, because you govern yourselves, you govern yourself, and this is kind of you're doing it. Although it's in a small, we need this huge thing to govern it, but you're governing yourselves anyway. You've got these things in place where you don't, it's not going to be 100%. Sadly, you can't help that. People, if they're fraudulent, by their very nature, they are going to be con artists, which con artists are good. I've met many, the amount of psychics that I've met that I know are fake and frauds. There's a point where you have to think, they're good at what they do. You can't blame yourself for letting them in. And we'll come back to that straight after the break. Don't go away, and come back in a couple of minutes.